Hi, everybody. This is live with Serena Kaylor, who will be joining us as our special author guest host. Let me try to add a title. Have I missed the boat on that? Maybe. Anyway, that's where you are. You're here with me. It's been a minute since we've had First Line Frenzy. Oh, hi, Hannah. You're first, honey. It was just you and me. So it's been a minute, right, since we've done First Line Frenzy. I honestly got a little burned out. Got a little tired. Posting every day was a little tough. Oh, Serena's here. Wow, and you are timely. I love that. Love that energy. All right, we're going to get Serena in here. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, there you are. And you should be able to press the button and get here. Yoo-hoo!
Hi.
Hello!
How are you?
How
Good.
are you? Thank you so much for being here. This is so amazing to have you.
Of course. I'm so excited. I was like,
Well,
first lines. That's my favorite.
first, right? Okay, that's great. Yeah, First Line Frenzy has been like in existence for I think I'm up to year 7. I don't know. I've been doing this for a long time. I started on Twitter, but that's now like exclusively a health site. So I don't really go over there anymore. No, we don't do that. So it's over here, and this is great because we get to do lives. Oh, Anne Glimmer says hello from Sweden. Hello from outside of Boston. So yeah, First Line's kind of my jam. I just like to look at them. I feel like there's a lot to learn, and I read your book last week, and I was so delighted by it. It's so good. Have you had like the best like debut couple of weeks ever? I hope you have.
It's been really exciting. Such a whirlwind. I'm like, what day is it today? What am I doing today? But it's been so much fun.
It looks like you're doing a ton of events. I've only like mildly stalked your social media just to prepare myself. But it looks like you're doing a lot of events, and I have to ask you because you wear the most beautiful dresses at these events. Do you make them? Like, or do you just find them? What's
Oh,
the deal?
uh, I don't have those skills, but I did buy them.
I also have the skill of buying things. I'm very good at it, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, they're gorgeous, and it looks like you're having a lot of fun. And so for everybody that I have preached to about the book, which is pretty much everyone I've talked to in the last 2 weeks, has read it and loved it, and it's just so good. This morning I was thinking about, like Shakespeare books and like sleepaway camp books and theater books. And I couldn't stop thinking about, have you read ML Rio's If We Were Villains?
No, I haven't, but I haven't yet.
Okay, it's so good. And I was trying to think if there's a way to connect them because it's also about like very Shakespeare focused, like super, super nerds. And I was like, oh, maybe it's like If We Were Villains, but without any of the murder. And I was like, no, that's still not quite it. It's not quite toxic enough to be that. So it's nothing like your book except for the Shakespeare references, but they're very good references.
I love that. I
Yeah.
maybe move it up on the tea like pile a little bit more.
Yeah, my husband is a big Shakespeare buff, and I made him read that, and he tends to read like very like serious things. But he really liked that book, and I was like, it's just enough Shakespeare to make it serious for like the like potentially like lit thick blowhard in your life, but also it's a fun book. So that's like a great endorsement.
I love that.
So before we get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the rules. There are not many rules. I will go into radio host mode. The only way I can get the lines on here is to flip the screen and make you look at my computer. I don't know how else to do it. Again, not my skill set. So I'll put up the first lines, and we're just looking for like first impressions and possibly how you would change it or like how it speaks to you.
Okay.
And like that's kind of it. We pick up, so each one is numbered, and you should keep track of your favorite because the favorite line of the day will receive a copy of your book as a gift from me.
Awesome.
It
Okay.
is awesome. Okay. Oh, you're ready. Okay, you have a pen. That's really good. Okay, I think we're gonna start. I like to start in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna slide this forward. I like did not really. I usually like clean my house like my parents are coming over before a First Line Frenzy. I don't know why, because you can only see this much of me in my house, but I didn't do it this time. So if you catch a glimpse of some chaos. That's just the way it goes. Okay, I'll do that fast. There, the chaotic desk. All right, let me, very high tech. Here we go. I'm going to pull it forward. You can see that, right? You've
I
got
can't.
magic eyes. Yes?
Yes.
I should have worn my big glasses too, because I sure do have them. Yes, I do. We could have really been like redheads with bright lipstick and glasses. We could have really coordinated.
Twin vibe.
Next, very big twin vibes. Next time, maybe I'll straighten my hair too. Okay. It'll be a little bit single white female, but also very well coordinated. Okay. So, number 160 is a YA romance. We have an almost even mix of YA and adult today, which is rare, but I thought, if the shoe fits. Tears pricked her eyes and fear bubbled in her chest at the mere thought of sleep. It's like the opposite of opening with a wake up.
Yeah.
which most First Line Frenzy followers know that I am vehemently opposed to opening with a wake up. So this is kind of like the direct inverse. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, clearly she's scared to go to sleep. So I'm like, ooh, YA romance too. I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, the dissonance between the genre tag and the first line is like concerning. I don't know. I feel like this is not it doesn't give the vibes that I would expect to find in a YA romance, certainly.
It would definitely, I think that dissonance would make me keep reading though, to be like, what's going on here?
It makes me so anxious. I feel a lot of anxiety looking at this line.
This is hard I thought it would be, because now I'm like, well, where's the rest of it? Like,
right. This is all we have to assess.
Yeah.
I would say also, there's so much focus on the physical, like, experience, the empirical experience of this nameless, faceless person.
Right.
And I would love to see, even if it is in third person, I think I would like to see less like physical feeling, and maybe one physical like embodied cue, but something to set the scene a little more. Like is she in a hospital? Is it a sleep study? Is she at home and she just like has nightmares? My least favorite trope. Other than Secret Baby, but that's another genre. So like what but so like I think maybe a little bit more of a cue here to bring us into a specific moment and not just into a specific body, if the body is going to remain nameless. So that would probably be my advice, to sort of every cue is so inside a body that I would just reach out a little bit further to set the scene, I think, a little bit here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I mean, all of this, of course, is like very internal. And
oh, yes. Oops.
Maybe she's like shotgunning like a cup of coffee and like, can't go to sleep. And,
right.
Yeah,
there's so many options and they're all interesting. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like that little extra bit of connection would be really interesting. Like, yeah, is she sitting up in the kitchen with all the lights on? Like, is she contemplating putting toothpicks on her eyes? Like, I think there could be more to connect to here, because someone else's sort of internal feeling of an emotion is not like a super seductive, start for me. But, I'm just one lady. Let's move on. Okay. Adult historical. Lucille danced alone with open arms raised as apparitions of her past emerged to cut in from cherished memories of an extraordinary, unusual life. So we have some grammatical snafus here, which I will chat about briefly, but you're always welcome to cut in. Get it? Cut in. So cut in this sense does not get hyphenated, because even though it's a compound verb in the sense that like we would cut into the dance, the only reason that you would hyphenate that is if it was acting like an adjective, right? So like the cut in was abrupt or whatever, the abrupt cut in, then you would hyphenate it. But here it is talking about this as a verb, and so it does not require a hyphen. This from cherished memories of an extraordinary, unusual life is this like just big sort of dangling modifier. The idea of someone dancing alone as apparitions of the past cut in is plenty. I don't know about you, but I feel like that should have just ended right here.
I 1000% agree.
Yeah, we would just do that. Boop.
And I like that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's very sort of weird and a little bit like my heart will go on throwing the big diamond in the water, but like also, I don't know, there's something really seductive about this Lucille sort of reliving her past. I really like that.
I do too.
I was trying to think if Lucille danced alone, whether with open arms raised is better that way, or maybe as danced alone, comma, open arms raised, comma, as apparitions of her past emerge to cut in. Because she's dancing alone and then alone with. I feel like there's some weird dissonance there. Obviously, it resolves by the time you get to the end of the sentence, but
no, I like this better.
Yeah,
It flows a lot better.
I think so too. That with was just a bit of a doorstop in the first phrase, but it's a good sign that we're nitpicking because that means we like it. All right, number 161. We note that we enjoy. Okay. What is next? A YA fantasy. I haven't really read any of these before I read them with you, so I don't really have an advantage here. Let's see what it is. I return to the land of the living with my head shoved into a toilet and fingers that are not mine jammed down my throat.
I like this.
Whoa. It's like a big yikes, but like yikes, what happens next, you know?
I love like when you're just tossed in like right in the middle and you're like, what's happening?
Absolutely, absolutely. It is just disturbing enough that I would be curious about like the nature. Is this an overdose? I feel like this has to be an overdose, right?
Yeah.
It feels like an overdose. But it's YA fantasy, so maybe it's just like an experience that acts or looks like an overdose. I don't know. So potentially there would be a content warning on this, just because it is a sort of violent, or like this could definitely trigger some readers. So I think that's the only other consideration, right? Like it is super visceral, and I'm not someone, like I have certain things I don't like to read about, but I'm not someone who necessarily chooses books based on those preferences. But I think this could actually turn off some readers from the jump, and it doesn't mean it should change, but it is a consideration I think the author might want to noodle on.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, maybe a little noodling about that. It is a little jarring, right? This like, it's very, I don't know, it's very intrusive. I mean, you've got to really know someone to throw your fingers down their throat, right? Like we want to believe that.
Well, it's fantasy. Who knows what's
Yeah,
going on?
we have no idea. I mean, I definitely have no idea. Okay.
Evokes a very like you said, visceral image. So
yeah, super visceral. Yeah, very effective, and like really draws me in. Like I certainly want to know what's going on here and what happens next. Good job on that, author friend. Okay, there it is. Ooh, adult thriller suspense. I'm a big baby, and sometimes I have to be careful about what thriller suspense I read. I prefer YA thriller because it's like just enough like paranoia and fear that I can still sleep at night.
That's fair.
Right?
I like, whew. I mean, I read so much like true crime stuff, but if it's like, I do. Well, I like it. Like if it's like, oh, we found the killer and this is all
right.
I
it's
like
resolved.
Yeah. I don't like secret, like, who knows like what happened to these people type stuff. But when you get into like more supernatural stuff, I'm such a baby. I'm like, I have to sleep tonight. I cannot.
I feel the same way. I think I'm the only person in America who has never listened to a true crime podcast. And I'm such a baby. And like, I am the person for whom like a cliffhanger ending on a podcast episode would destroy me. Like I can't handle it. And then yesterday, for reasons, I was researching pop cultural phenomena from 2014. And one of them was Serial. It was the first season of Serial. And I still have not listened to it. I'm terrified. And like, that was a long time ago. Like, it's coming up on a decade, and I like still can't really bring myself to do it. Anyway, I'm a big wuss. Let's see what this sentence is about. He lay concealed under a pile of orange and yellow leaves with vengeful eyes glued to his target. Oh, snippets. We've seen this one before. People, you're not supposed to double submit. I have seen this line before. I think in a First Line Frenzy Live. But I'm
Okay.
gonna, well, let's see what you think about it, because I think I've probably already given my 2 cents about it.
Oh, is it like the same first one that you had
I
before?
I think it is. I mark them all when I use them, so it must have maybe submitted again. There might have been a tiny revision to this since I've seen it.
Sure. Um, I don't. Okay. I think it's definitely like, a solid place to start. It is also very internal. So I would probably maybe, I don't know, if it was me, I would probably start somewhere with like a sense of describing like what the target is doing, and then you kind of dip into realizing that they're watching from under a pile of leaves or something like that.
Yeah,
But and I mean the orange and yellow, I mean you can tell that's fall, but you can say that in a way that's not naming two colors as well.
yeah,
uh,
crispy leaves. Crisp leaves would do it.
uh,
I think these are the pretty much you're articulating the same thoughts I have, which is, it's I'm not a huge fan of opening on stillness or opening on a close or opening on, like, I just find that opening with waiting of any kind is less effective than opening with what happens after the waiting, right? you know, um, yeah, it also feels like a little bit passive with vengeful eyes glued to his target. This is a sort of disembodied organ issue, which is another pet peeve of mine. And I'm sure sounding like I'm just annoyed all the time when I read, but really I'm not. And I just like the eyes, like a gaze can be glued, but the eyes are not actually like super glued to his target. And therefore I would nitpick this if this were on my desk for edits.
yeah, like for suspense, like give it to them little by little. Let them know you're vengeful without saying the word vengeful.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we already know there's something off here because you are an adult laying under a pile of leaves. So I feel like already, like, even if it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess we've had some lines today that are almost too internal, but this one is almost like the surface level of internal, right? Like it's someone, we're getting that perspective of, I can observe someone under a pile of orange and yellow leaves, which begs the question, how well hidden are you? Um, but like maybe like he had lost all feeling in his left elbow by the time his target came into view on the park bench or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like something a little more visceral
Yeah.
for this person. It just feels like the narrative is at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
We say get closer and get creepier, author. Get
Yeah.
in there. Closer and creepier. That's the watchword. Okay. Oh, YA contemporary. So we're just not expecting you to shine or anything, but you should probably shine. Okay. The Pluto Boys are dying, and I'm the only one who will remember them.
Ooh.
Does this not give you big, like the Raven Boys vibes?
Does.
It totally does, right? Um,
The Pluto Boys. And they're dying.
they're dying. Now, the Pluto Boys this is one situation where I don't know if it's the grammar or a mistake. So if Pluto is a surname, then boys should not be
Mm-hmm.
capitalized. But if like, is it a band?
Is
Like,
it,
I don't know, what is it?
is it a secret club? We don't know.
I hope it's the secret club, but I mean, maybe not so secret. But how do you feel about this contraction on hool?
Hmm.
It's super awkward to say hool. It's very strange in my mouth.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know if when you when you read it out loud, it definitely is like a little bit awkward.
I feel like we don't see this contraction very often. I don't think I've ever written it personally.
I don't think I have either.
I don't, and frankly, I mean, obviously in dialogue, right? We want to see a lot of contracting to mimic authentic speech patterns.
Right.
But for me, the Pluto Boys are dying and I'm the only one who will remember them doesn't read any more formally or informally or awkwardly than that. I think that's better, to be honest.
I do too.
Very intriguing. It's a great first line.
It is a great first line.
I like how it manages to point a finger outward to the wider world of the protagonist and also still centralize an experience with a single character.
Yeah.
I think that's very clever and just great. Okay, I like that. That's my pony right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, an adult mystery. Only moments before I had assumed that the stuttering of Johnny Cuttler was yet another red herring placed to throw me off the trail of Elizabeth Courtly. Yet the Starlace identification stamp I was now looking at seemed to paint an entirely different picture. I got lost there for a second. This is a long ass sentence.
Like read it again.
Yeah. Well, what threw me was this terrible semicolon, which is being, badly abused. Okay, only moments before I had assumed, maybe it's only moments before I had assumed
right.
that the stuttering, so usually, friends, we would not put a comma in an introductory phrase unless it was 4 or more letters. That's a Chicago Manual of Style rule. However, we need one here to clarify that it's not only moments before the assumption took place, it's that moments before there was an assumption. And for that reason, we are going to go rogue on our comma usage, which, we can do. Only moments before, I had assumed that the stuttering of Johnny Cuttler, again, this like needlessly convoluted phrase, Johnny Cutler's stuttering, Johnny Cutler's stutter, right?
Yes.
Was yet another red herring placed. No, we don't need this either. A red herring is always already placed to throw me off the trail of Elizabeth Courtly. Yikes, there we go. Yet the Starlace identification stamp I was now looking at is terribly awkward. There we go. Just gonna there we go. Seemed to paint an entirely different picture. Okay, so let's try this again. Only moments before, I had assumed that John Cutler's stutter was yet another red herring to throw me off the trail of Elizabeth Courtly. To throw me off Elizabeth Courtly's trail. Do we feel better about that?
Yes.
This insistence on prepositional phrases is exhausting and makes me think this author was writing to a word count. There we go. Don't do that, folks. Elizabeth Courtly's trail. Or do it in your first draft and then get rid of it. Okay. Yet the Starlace identification stamp seemed to paint an entirely different picture. I think you have to know or understand what a Starlace identification stamp is in order to understand why the stutter, how is the stutter and the stamp, how are they connected?
Is that a real thing?
I Googled it. I know, are you doing it too? I Googled it, and what I got was a lot of information on Converse sneakers and how to lace them.
Oh.
So I was like, is this I just don't, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's a real thing. I think it's an in-world thing.
Yes. So in that case, I mean, I feel like that's a lot of like maybe unnecessary extra information right off the bat. Yeah. I mean, maybe just end at trail and then you can
100%.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. It gives me big Kaiser Sose vibes.
Yeah.
Right? Like we totally feel that. This is very usual suspects.
Yes.
But the syntax was very off and gives me some concerns about the rest of the prose. So I think, author, if you're seeing this, we really need to think about the organic evolution of a sentence. So, that aside, obviously this is supposed to be, I guess, more of a conceptual critique, but I think I'm very intrigued, but you got to know when to stop. You got to know when you've kind of won the day and just stop. Because this is a great little sentence.
This is a great sentence.
Yeah. And and I just, it's implied that the assumption has been undone. And so I think the rest of that sentence, the rest of the phrasing that was there is just not necessary. Don't forget you have a lot of sentences after the first sentence, so you don't actually have to do everything in sentence one.
And you don't even have to give the reader everything in the first paragraph or first chapter. They will keep up.
Yes,
So
they will totally keep up.
then you can do that too.
I thought, long story short does a great job of sort of trickling out B's sort of neurodivergence, right? Like it's not, God forbid, her looking in the mirror and contemplating her freckles and thinking about how when she looks at them, she sees scientific constellations, right? Like we
Fair.
learn, like we learn so much about her through her words and her actions and just like her response to stimulus, and that is so effective. And I wish more people would do that. I think
Yeah.
that's great. So all my authors watching, you have to go read Serena's book so that you know what I'm talking about. Okay. That's the one. I read an e-arc, so I don't have like a beautiful copy to hold up because I had the arc. So like of course now I'm using every screen in my life to do this, so I can't actually hold it up, but it's gorgeous. I love the pink. Did you have something to do with your cover? Did you have approval on it?
They sent me a few different color options, and I was like, pink.
The obvious option. Yeah. So and that's through Wednesday Books, right? I think Wednesday has great cover artists
They
working because they pull up some really good graphic, like compelling stuff. And I kept looking at the cover, like the image of the cover in my phone as I was reading, because I loved seeing them together. Like I don't know. She looks so, the more you look at B on the cover, the more she looks like herself. I don't know if that makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah, it was a great rendering. Okay. Oh, we're back in Romance Land, Romance Landia. Happy. Okay. Rehearsing what she'd say to the bank loan manager later, Ellis was startled by the ringing knock on the copper walls surrounding her. Oh, Hannah, one of our comments says the Preston graphic under the dust jacket. Can you show it? Because I haven't seen it.
You see,
Oh my gosh. Ooh, that is very nice. What a lovely detail.
I know.
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, Hannah as soon as I finished, I DM'd Hannah and I was like, I know you loved um Emma Lord's last book.
Yes.
Why can't I ever hold the title in my brain? It's something with the word you in it. Hannah, what is it? Tell me. Put it in the comments. Um
I'm so bad with her titles.
it's the one with like the theater
Yes,
person
yeah.
and the summer internship. When you get the chance. Yes,
When
when you get the chance. Yeah. I don't
think "Take a Chance on Me," and I was like, "That's an ABBA song, Serena." That's not it.
that's not it. Yes, when you get the chance is such a great comp for this. Um, for a long story short, because you've got these just like super passionate, super talented young people, and I just think their competency is such a boon, right? I love that. Okay, so and yes, there is an ABBA obsession in when you get the chance. So it does drive and it does make sense. Okay, we're getting way off topic. Anyway, okay. Adult romance. Right. So copper walls. What kind of room has copper walls? Can someone help me? Is she like stuck in a beer tank? I don't understand.
I was trying to think. I was trying to see if maybe there was something I was missing, or they're not. The author sending it like not from America, or if there's like if this means something to somebody, or if it's supposed to mean something like, oh, where is she? Like,
I'm wondering if it's supposed to be, I wonder if copper is supposed to be a color description and actually it's brass. Because, like, I suppose if you're waiting in like a very swanky bank, maybe it's like marble and brass and columns. And like, I'm kind of thinking about, I'm it kind of thinking about the Ministry of Magic from Fantastic Beasts, like just like a very ornate kind of place. Oh, John commented that he thought it might be a bank vault too. But like, why would you be in the vault if you're going to talk to the manager? I don't.
and there's a ringing knock on the walls.
Yeah, so like, I think it's probably brass, not copper.
Okay.
So I'm feeling very confident about that, but also like maybe there's a brass railing or like a brass detail, but like there's no brass walls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If it were historical, I would have been like, yeah, okay, sure, maybe. Like that might be a historical detail that is totally valid. But this feels like an error.
Yes, or like even if it was intended to read like this, I just don't understand it enough to really know where we're going.
Yes. So, what is the value of a detail that no one understands? Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but Ellis is apparently, I guess, in a bank.
We got to assume, well, that's where the bank loan manager works, right?
Right.
But no, but look, she says it's later.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
snippets. I have no idea what this means.
moments, like momentarily or something like that, then I'd be like, okay, we're here at the bank. She's rehearsing, getting ready for this meeting. But I'm just a little, yeah. John says
Com
there, and I agree with that.
yeah, John usually hits the nail on the head. So yeah, I feel like this is very confusing, and also not to be this totally persnickety person, but it is also opening on a moment of stasis where she's just like noodling around in her own brain, and then someone interrupts her. And that is less interesting to me than whatever happens after she
Yeah.
moves on from this room. Angus says, I'm more interested in where she is at the moment because this seems like she's alone. I agree. The setting is more mysterious than the conflict, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this deserves some revision. Another adult thriller. The boys had stayed after the lecture to flirt with Professor Hyun again. I'm
Go ahead.
neither thrilled or suspended. I don't know.
And it's I would rather see like an opening line of some boy clumsily attempting to flirt with a professor versus just telling me it's happening.
Yes, I agree. Though I know I'm like giving this line more credit than it deserves, but don't you get slightly voyeuristic vibes here? Like someone
Yeah.
is watching the boys stay after to flirt. And so I wonder, like, that is very creepy to me and very weird, but only if it's first person. If it's third person, then yeah, I want to hear some bad flirtation or see it because I'm not always into starting with dialogue. But if it's someone watching this weird mating ritual take place, I'm way more interested in that because it's someone who's judging these students as boys and not young men or men. So, but it's a lecture, so it's college. So we have to assume they're all adults in the room, even if some of them are young adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like super intrigued by this whole dynamic.
Yeah. No, I like looking at it that way too. If it's like first person, someone's just creeping, then okay.
Much more thrilling and suspenseful. Yeah. This is a really great comment, and so I want to go back for just a second to our bank vault conundrum. And Henry says, I thought she broke in, but then it would be the police, not the manager, unless she assumed that she. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the bank loan because the bank manager is not necessarily the bank loan manager. Because I did start to think, what if she is in the vault? But I think we're still right, and it's all just very confusing. Okay. Anyway, moving back along. I promise I won't go backwards again. Okay. So, yeah, I think we really need. What's that? Sorry, what did you say?
Reading Angus's note saying that it'd be really cool if the narrator is the stalker of the professor. That'd be really cool.
Oh,
that would be.
Yes, I agree. So that's kind of how I was feeling. Like there's these sort of I'll be watching vibes, you know. But again, I think we're writing. This is like an occupational hazard. Is just writing the book that we can actually see. So I think so much in this instance depends on the POV. And author, if you are watching and would like to tell us about the POV of your book, you are welcome to do that in the comments. Okay. Ooh, adult general commercial. Here we are.
Oh.
Brian Pusey, Member of Parliament for Her Majesty's Government, celebrated charity funrunner, and the accused of some of the most abhorrent crimes committed in the seedier corners of the 1970s and 80s, smiles at me. Okay.
Yeah. We got a lot of information there. Okay.
We got a lot of information. We're going to need a little comma here. I know that not all of you are Oxford fanatics, but for the sake of clarity, We do what we have to do. Smiles at me is really tough. I feel like maybe it's because it comes after the dates. It really feels like it's dangling off the end of the sentence.
It does.
At the risk of making the sentence even longer, I would have rather seen it say something like, Brian Pusey, yada, 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 in the seedier corners of the 1970s and 80s, has a smile like a panther. Or like something that doesn't bring in the narrator as a person in the sentence.
Or you could start and say like, I flinch as like Brian Pusey smiles at me, period. And then you're like, you can tell a little bit more about him after that.
Yeah.
Or a reaction to him smiling at you and then why that's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I love this triptych, right? This sort of government, personal, and then criminal. I really like that, as like that you've mushed all these things together. And it's not, I didn't get lost in this sentence, right? Like it's not meandering. It's very focused, and it's syntactically very sound and grammatically very good. I just think that there's that, it's not clear from the rest of the sentence that it's in first person. And so when the sentence very abruptly becomes first person, smiles at me, your brain kind of like record scratches, trying to recontextualize the rest of the sentence, which reads to be in third. So I think it's fine. You don't have to reveal. It's easy enough to establish first person in sentence 2. I think it, to preserve all of these modifiers about Brian, I think you'd have to change just these last 3 words to something that maintains the third person feel.
Yeah.
I think. But this is very interesting. I mean, the charity fun runner is, what a thing to be known for. And to be a celebrated fun runner and also be accused of some abhorrent crimes. I mean, really, what kind of world are we living in? So I think this is really interesting, certainly intriguing, but that those last 3 words are going to bother me until they're changed.
No, I think you're totally right. Like, I don't know the context after this, if this is like a cocktail party, if it's a trial, but if it could be like smile, like he knows blank, or smiles because of blank, that probably would preserve the flow of that better.
Yeah, I just think keep the me out of it for the time being. I got reporter vibes. Like, I got the sense that this is, that there's like I don't know. Again, I'm writing the book before I read the book, but the person being smiled at, the protagonist, has so much information about this person that I just like wonder why they're in their vicinity. It's very intriguing, and I don't know if this is better tagged as general commercial or as thriller suspense, because it kind of feels like it's going to get suspensey. All right, so we're going to leave Brian and his creepy smile behind. Why sci-fi? I had to hunt for this one because I wanted to have some sci-fi, and the pickings are slim in my master list. Okay, Clover couldn't remember the original color of her boots, although she was relatively certain they'd once been something nicer than this grayish sludge that matched the landscape. It's very effective.
It is.
I don't know how interesting it is.
I mean, it definitely like sets the scene for us and gives us a sense we're probably somewhere not here.
Yeah, it's got big not here vibes.
Yes, big not here vibes. Why sci-fi is so hard because it encompasses so many things. So I want to give like feedback, and then I'm like, well, this might not even be the type of book that this is. But I mean, I think it's effective in the way that, kind of sets a scene. But I think that you're right that there could be something maybe a little bit more dramatic that does that same thing for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a well-constructed sentence, right? To some end, we can take a very wide view and say, this is a good sentence, but is it a good first sentence. And to that I say no, because there's character but no conflict. There's setting but there's no stakes, right? It's just sort of here, and it feels like throat clearing, right? Because it's just giving us our surrounds, and it's not especially compelling.
What if she's yanking off the boot because the gray sludge is eating through it?
Yeah, exactly. So like this just isn't the right moment. It's just a dull time, but it's a well-written sentence. So I'm really confident. I'm very confident that the correct first sentence and first moment is hiding somewhere in the first chapter.
Yeah.
But this isn't it. Augusta says it's a good first sentence of a third paragraph, and to that I agree. Yes, it's a good sentence. Like, I think there's just nothing wrong with it, but that doesn't mean it should start your book. Okay, adult literary. Let me put on my dignified voice. Okay. I knew every inch of the packed dirt circle I called home, the 8-foot chain, a constant reminder I wasn't going anywhere.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more I look at it, the creepier it gets, right? Ooh, I just got a chill down my spine.
Adult literary, okay.
8-foot chain, a constant reminder. So this, again, literary, yeah, I should take it away as an option and force people to choose a genre. I don't believe that literary is a good generic tag, because all literary fiction needs a genre at its heart, or it doesn't have a plot. Literary, to me, has always been more about a relationship to language and form, and less a relationship to content. So I wish we knew more. I feel that this genre tag actually sells the work short.
Yeah.
Because I'm very intrigued by this.
I am too. I would definitely keep reading.
Oh my gosh, I totally would. Yikes. Oh, every time I reread the end, I get a little chill. Ooh. It really, 8-foot chain, a constant. But like, okay, is this the POV of a dog?
Literally?
Okay, but like,
I don't know.
Sylvia, the play, right? Isn't there that play, Sylvia? Who wrote that? And it's all about this talking dog, right? Which really, I don't know. The point is, I'm either concerned that this is the POV of a dog, or are we supposed to, I don't want to think about a person living chained up in an 8-foot circumference of dirt.
It's true.
Right? And like, because then is this not horror? Like, how is this? I just have a lot of questions. Again, this is a really well-written sentence.
It is.
And it's bringing up a lot for me, apparently. But I just think that genre tag is doing us a slight disservice. But I don't know how does one categorize a novel that takes place from the POV of a dog? So maybe literary was the only choice.
Maybe. Or it. I don't know. I don't know
either. We have a lot of that going around today. Oh, look. What's that?
A great sentence.
Yeah, really great sentence. Love the sentence. Have no idea what's going on, but really, really compelling. Okay. Oh, this is our last one, and then I'm just gonna gush about your book some more. YA historical, tough genre, friends. The one and only time Mason snuck into a distillery was also the one and only time he learned a 10-gallon hat doesn't literally hold 10 gallons.
I love this.
I love this sentence. It's so funny. I love this.
I do too. God,
this is really funny. My only criticism is that I think the repetition of one and only time is, or really the one and only time, belabors the point and perhaps delays the punchline a little too far. And so you might say the night Mason snuck into a distillery was also the night he learned, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, I like that.
I just think the one and only also feels ahistorical. It does not feel historically consistent.
Yeah.
Of course, historical could mean this takes place in the 70s. We don't know. But technically, historical is the 90s if you want to feel really old about it. I know. Isn't that so harsh? I remember one of my clients was querying her novel that took place in the 90s, and we were sort of having trouble. We were calling it contemporary. And an agent got back to her and was like, look, I really like this, but I don't represent historical. And the author was like, I'm sorry, what?
What?
Like it was like a kick in the neck. It was so harsh. It was terrible. So yeah, so that said, right, we don't know when this is, but I do think one and only is a little it's a bit fussy.
Yeah.
Bit fussy on the repetition. So I would just say day or night. We hope he waited for the nighttime, but we don't know. Okay, I'm coming back, so don't be alarmed. And my giant face is now back on the screen. I try to warn everybody. Okay, so those were our lines. You are good at this. You're very good at this.
You were very good at this.
Well, I've had a lot of practice. I mean, I've basically been cheating for the last 15 years that I've been editing books. So, did you pick a favorite?
I picked a few favorites, but I think the one that I liked a lot of them, but I think the one that probably hit me the hardest was the last one, 170.
171. It was like I thought I knew what I was going to pick, and then 171, and I was like, well, that's
I was ranking the ones I'd written down, and I was like, okay, I think I have a winner, and then 171 swept in there.
It was a dark horse. It just like boom, there it was. There was a lot of really intriguing, interesting stuff today, though. Good job, everyone. Really, thank you to the authors who share their lines with us. If you are watching and you did not submit a line, it's anonymous, right? As you see, I just reduce everybody to a number. There's a form linked in my Instagram and Twitter bios, and you can fill it out. And eventually you'll see your line. I have like 500 in the hopper. And so I like have to trickle them out slowly, but you can only submit once, and a lot. So you'll disqualify yourself if I see more than one line. Though if we used your line today, you can submit a new one, just to keep the wheels turning. So when do we get your next book? Like tomorrow? Tomorrow's good for me. I have some free time.
No, just kidding. I think that's one of the things that I realized, or maybe realize about publishing until I got into it, is like how delayed things are. I sold my book in 2020 and it just came out last. Yeah. So.
Well, there were some extenuating circumstances
there
that we, but wow, that must have been wild. Selling during the pandemic, that must have been nuts. And then so you were doing all of your revisions and stuff, like just everything over email. Did you meet your editor in person?
No. Mm-mm. I've never.
Have you yet?
Either. And every time I try and like go up to New York City where they both are, like another wave would happen and I'd be like, nope, and cancel my trip. So hopefully one day.
Hopefully one day. Yeah. So a similar thing happened with the writers conference that I run called the Work Conference. We had an event in March 2020 and I canceled. This was actually an event that was supposed to be here in Massachusetts. I canceled, and the venue like kind of made fun of me, and they were like, this is basically the flu, you're being ridiculous. Then the state closed 2 weeks later because they wouldn't refund me my deposit for this big conference that I was going to plan. And so then I emailed and I was like, did you want to rethink that refund? Because the state is closed, because my whole faculty is in New York, right? And I was like, I'm not going to be the person who brings all of the Brooklynites down to Massachusetts. Like, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, everything's been so slow and so hard. And yeah, that's tough. Well, when you come up to New York, you have to come, stalk you outside your agent's door so that I can be like, hey, be my friend. Redheads with bright lipstick, go out for drinks. So book 2 is in the works though, right?
It is. Yeah.
It totally is. When do we learn about it?
I have no idea, but hopefully one day.
All right. I'll take that. I'll take it. Yeah. Hedging a little, but I'll take it. Of course, long story short, I think it's going to continue to just gain all this momentum and reads and reviews. And I think everybody who reads it is going to love it. So what else can I ask you about? Anything you want to tell us? Do you have any events, or are there giveaways going on that you want to tell us about? Anything that everybody should know?
I'm basically done with all the planned events that I had for launch week, and then I'm going to take a week or so to recover. And I don't have any giveaways planned. but they did send me a big box of books, so I'm probably gonna do some of those soon.
Well, now that I know how pretty it is, like I really want my own hard copy. I actually have a little free library out front, so maybe I'll buy a copy from
Oh,
my library.
I
Um, well, I am so thrilled that you worked us into your release week shenanigans. I am actually like super honored and delighted that on a day that you're probably like thinking I'm done. I'm finally done with everything, that you decided to fit us in anyway. So thank you so much.
of course.
You are lovely and your book is lovely, and I am going to continue to tell everybody I know to read it. And we wish you the absolute very best and can't wait for your next one.
Thank you. This was so much fun. Thank you for including me.
Come back soon, and we'll be here. There's so many first lines, an endless number. So, it never ends. But anyway, thank you so much. Thank you to all of our authors. The replay of this live will be available on YouTube just as soon as I can upload it. And if Instagram isn't kind of being a douchebag, I will have it up on my live page as well. But so far, the last few just have punked out. So if you're looking for a replay, you will have to look on YouTube. And I will post all of the first lines that we reviewed today in the description of the video, so you can sort of follow along and play and see how you would edit these lines. So thanks to everybody for being here. Thank you especially to Serena. Go buy her book, Long Story Short, and I will see you soon.
Bye.